As the formation laps for the DD2s is about to get underway. The karts are now fired up, and the way the grid is going to line up for this final. After the pre-final earlier on, it is going to see that of number 602, Sean Babington, to start from the pole position. Alongside him, Jordan Lennox-Lamb, who's had a pretty good run so far this year. He sits second in the championship after a win back at round number 1. Didn't quite get to the podium at the previous round in Largy, but he is certainly there in the championship. Just sits 7 points adrift of Ben Cooper at the top of the points. And then behind that on row number 2, we see Andreas Bachmann, who got his first podium from the pre-final so far this year, and also the final. So Andreas Bachmann definitely one to look out for in this one. Ben Cooper, reigning champion, current championship leader with the number 1 on his kart, sits there alongside on row number 2. Row 3 then sees Anthony Abbas had to work hard in the pre-final to get himself into that position. Had great competition from French Kanskar, who lines himself up alongside on row number 3. Row number 4 then sees Enrique Baptista with Zen Derua alongside in 8th place. Row number 5 is headed by Dario Santori and Philippos Kalasius, the Greek man, alongside in 10th place. Row number 6 sees another couple of quick men, Kevin Ludi and that of Damien Wiem. Row 7 headed by Harold Garkaklis and Brian Eden in 14th place. Next up on row number 8 we see the likes of Michael Christensen and Milan Donche in 16th place. Row 9 headed by Julian Renadan and Maxi Fleischmann alongside on row number 9. Row number 10 headed by Patrick Pearce. Alongside him is going to be the first of the Masters class runners, and that was from the pre-final, Christoph Adams. It was Martin Pearce who was knocked down after trouble in pre-final and a warning as well, so he gets a time penalty for his inclusion. Row number 11 sees Senna Noor and second in Masters Tamsin Germain. Row 12 is headed by Alessandro Bizzotti and Martin Pearce alongside. Row 13, Zanat Arahawi and Frank Ruxell, and then towards the back, row number 14, Joshua Collins and Cristobal Garcia Ramos, and finally on the grid we should be seeing Sergei Zagamonov and Fred Woodley as well, another man who had a few problems after the race. He has been put to the back of this final grid. It's DD2 time, it's final time. We're about to get this one underway very shortly. The kart's on their second formation lap, and Chris Hartley is going to take us through the start of the race.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, we'll likely be missing Ramos, who hasn't been out since qualifying at the back of the grid, and the other Masters driver as well will also likely be missing from this grid. Fred Woodley will be 28th and last on the grid after being disqualified when he finished in the top 10 from the pre-final. So it's DD2 time here, and down on the track on the pit lane is Fred Woodley. So Fred in the pit lane isn't on the track at the moment, and some dramas as he tries to get out there on the circuit. Now the top 3 in the championship, Ben Cooper, Jordan Lennox-Lamb and Andreas Bachmann. The points gap has come down after the pre-final on total points, so it's 195 for Ben Cooper, 190 for Jordan Lennox-Lamb. It's only 5 points between them now after Jordan took some points away from the points leader in the pre-final, and Andreas Bachmann's third on 183 points. That's on total points, but don't forget you dropped your worst pre-final and your worst final score from your total at the end of the season, and it very much means that Sean Babington is still right in the hunt for the championship here once you take his disappointing final from Genk out of the equation, where he got punted off the road. So Sean on pole position is very much still a championship contender here, and we'll be looking for a win. If it means anything, then in the third round of the championship in 2013, the winner was Sean Babington. It wasn't here in Zuera, it was in his own country at the PFI circuit in Lincolnshire, but he won round 3 last year. Oh, how he'd love to win this one. The race goes through into the first corner, but I don't think it's going to be a start. The karts were a bit spread out, and it might give Fred Woodley another chance to try and get his kart sorted out. He's looking at the battery pack, I think, so it's an electrical problem, and they can't get the kart started, so looks like they're going to be sent round again. In fact, there's another kart off, just noticed, up and the infield that's stopped out on the track. Just try and identify that one through the binoculars. It's number 620 by the looks of things. So Josh Collins, I'm afraid, has stopped out on the circuit. Keep your good messages coming in via the social stream at the rgmmcmedia.com website from Nicky Gregory. The very best of luck to Paul Spencer and all of the Strawberry Racing drivers from Nicky watching from Italy. And also from Jason Hollis, good luck to all the Strawberry Racing drivers. And we'll read some more messages out when we get to the juniors and seniors, of which there are plenty. So keep them coming in. We'll do our best to read them out. Thanks for joining us from wherever you are in the world. Let us know where you're watching from on the live stream. But the DD2 karts are about to come round. Fred Woodley, I'm afraid he's still stuck in the pit lane. So what looked like it's going to be a really good day for him has fast gone wrong over the last 60 minutes or so. we've got following this the junior and then the senior finals to round out the day, with the podium celebrations, of course, to follow about an hour or so after the end of racing. So they're all being bunched up now through turn 8. You've got Sean Babington and Jordan Lennox-Lamb on the front row, Andreas Bachmann and Ben Cooper on row 2, Anthony Abbas, who is certainly one who goes for it and finished in second place in Italy. He'll take some chances, I'm sure, from the inside of row 3. Frank Canchar on the outside of row 3, having his best weekend of the season so far, as is Enrique Baptista, the Portuguese driver, has gone really well. He'll start 7th, Zuera will start 8th, and then we'll have Dario Santoro in an excellent 9th on the grid. Philippos Kalesis, who has had to start at the back of the grid for his heats, just as did the pole position man, Sean Babington. They really had to fight through to get a good grid for the final, and Philippos Kalesis will round out the top 10 as Sean Babington leads them round. He's to the left of your picture if you're watching online. To the right of your picture is Jordan Lennox-Lamb. And the race gets underway, and Sean Babington straight away gets the lead of the race. It's Andreas Bachmann tucking into second place. Jordan Lennox-Lamb third. Then it looks like Anthony Abbas has gone into fourth place. Abbas down the inside into turn 2. Now goes up to third position. So back to third for him. Jordan Lennox-Lamb having a look up the inside, though, on the way into the hairpin to try and get the place back. They're still side by side as they go through the apex, accelerating out together. Third and fourth absolutely side by side, but the inside line is with Jordan Lennox-Lamb. He gets through, and he's lost one place, but at least it's only one. He gets back through into third position. Ben Cooper has gone through as well to fourth place, so he took advantage of that move. And Anthony Abbas, who was very briefly in third place, by the time we get midway around the lap, has dropped down to fifth position now. Enrique Baptista has gained a place as well. He's up to sixth position, so Frank Canchar has lost 1 or 2 places because he was one of the ones stranded on the outside line. And we've got to keep an eye on the Masters as well. The first place master on the grid was Christoph Adams. Tamsin Germain, though, was right behind him on the grid, and right behind her on the grid was Martin Pearce. So there should be a good battle between the Masters, with Martin Pearce being the points leader in terms of the Masters division for the over 32s. At the end of lap number 1, then, they go through with Sean Babington as the race leader, Andreas Bachmann in second place, third, fourth and fifth all together, with Lennox-Lamb, Cooper and Abbas. Baptiste, their next man through, just behind them in sixth place, Matt.
Yep, one who dropped on that first lap was French Canchar from inside the top 6. He now finds himself down in 10th place, so a very poor start indeed. For third place, Ben Cooper down the inside line at turn number 4, not hanging about. He knows what he needs to do in this one. The man who leads the championship now really on a charge to catch the top 2. It's Andreas Bachmann up there in second place. It's Sean Babington that still leads the race on the exit of turn number 6. Behind the top 4 now, 5th place, we've got Anthony Abbas. We'll see what pace he can show in the second half of this race. We know he comes on strong, and Anthony Abbas wants to get onto the podium here today at Zuera in Spain. So Anthony Abbas will push hard. He's only had 1 podium so far this year to date. That was previously at the Laghi circuit in Italy. Picked up a 2nd in the final. So can he repeat this performance this weekend? Across the line they come once more. Sean Babington, 2nd Andreas Bachmann. But look now, Ben Cooper, after getting up into 3rd place, he wants 2nd place away straight away. On towards turn 2. The leaders go. He doesn't really jinx out of there, so he keeps in the tow. We'll see what he can do up at turn number 3, where the big passing manoeuvres seem to be made so far this weekend. Ben Cooper, does he look for the move? Yes, he does. He's now up into 2nd place. So 6:01 goes through. Andreas Bachmann is deposed 1 place, nearly 2 as well. I think he has been. So Jordan Lennox-Lamb moves through in the order as well, finds himself now up into 3rd place.
Yep, so all of this is allowing the race leader, Sean Babington, to edge clear, looking for his first race victory of the season. His best finish in a final so far in 2014, the 4th place that he achieved in Italy, despite the fact that he was carrying a pretty serious injury, having broken bones not that long before that in a football match. So Sean Babington hauling himself back into championship contention here. He started the season absolutely brilliantly in the Winter Cup as he switched to his new team, Strawberry Racing, with wins in all of the races and then wins in the final as well at the Winter Cup at Campios. And Genk then, he was very competitive but very unlucky. And in Italy, he had a pretty good weekend as well. So he's there. Anthony Abbas is looking pretty menacing in 5th place. He's right onto the tail of Andreas Bachmann. The Swedish driver will have to relent on the way into turn 2. With the dark race suit, Anthony Abbas goes through. For the Sodi Kart driver then, moves back up to 4th place. Babington, Cooper, Lamb and Abbas now the top 4. Bachmann is down to 5th place. Enrique Baptista going absolutely brilliantly in 6th position. In fact, he's got ahead now of Andreas Bachmann on the way out of the corner. So into turn 4, Andreas Bachmann almost losing the back end of the kart there, as there's a bit of contact possibly between the 3 of them, just trying to jostle for position. Nothing too serious, but Bachmann really fighting on to hang on to his place here from the very quick Harold Garkaklis. The Latvian has come from 13th on the grid, and with the red race suit, Garkaklis goes up the inside into turn 6 now and moves ahead of Andreas Batman. So Batman's lost 2 or 3 places on that lap. To the back of the group he goes. Up front it is Babington that leads the way, Cooper in second, Lennox Lamb in third, a slight gap back then to 4th place Anthony Abbas, Enrique Baptista in 5th, Garkaklis now in 6th place, Andreas Batman is about to cross the line in 7th position. And then he's been caught, I think, by Frank Canchar now in the 604 kart in 8th place. Kevin Ludy's up to 9th. Michael Christensen has risen up to 10th place here. The fastest lap to Jordan Lennox Lamb now with a 62.9.
Yeah, just remember this final for DD2 is slightly longer than pre-final and the heats from yesterday. It's a 14-lap race, so a little bit more tiring for the drivers out there. The fight for 4th place continues once again as they turn through at turn number 4. Anthony Abbas and Enrique Baptista. Enrique's really been on form so far this weekend. Can he get himself any higher than this 5th place at the minute? He goes through turn number 6, all over the back at the minute of Anthony Abbas in 4th place. Meantime, the top 3 are starting to pull away now. There's a big old gap starting to form. It's near enough up to 2 seconds with Sean Babington, Ben Cooper and Jordan Lennox Lamb, your top 3. 4th place Anthony Abbas, 5th place Enrique Baptista, and look at the karts now that starts to join the mix as well. Harold Garkaklis, Andreas Bachmann, and also in there as well as French Kanskar. So they come onto the start finish line once again. 9 laps to go for the leaders as they head down towards turn number 1. Look out for Enrique Baptista there in 5th place. The blue car now runs on towards turn number 2. Not quite close enough this time, I'm afraid, to make a move on Anthony Abbas. So he has to sit there, watch what goes on ahead of him, and maybe over the next couple of laps try and get the move done. Now he does it. Down the inside line goes Enrique Baptista. He doesn't hang about for much, does he? He gets the job done, and that also hampers the man who was 4th, Anthony Abbas, as both Harold Garkaklis and Andreas Bachmann dive down the inside at turn number 4. So if you're caught offline, you lose the place, and then everyone else wants to charge their way through as well, and that's exactly what's happened for the man who was up there in 4th place, Anthony Abbas. More changes ahead. Andreas Bachmann goes now ahead of Harold Garkaklis, and following him back through, Anthony Abbas as well.
That's what we're saying about the low gearing. The kart set up for straight line speed because of the huge straight here. And if you have a kart which is better set up for acceleration out of the slower corners, you'll be really quick in the middle of the lap, but everybody will just drive past you on the straights. So having the low gearing is great for straight line, not so good out of the corners. And it means if you have to get off the throttle very, very briefly, it costs you a lot of time through the next 2 or 3 corners. And that's why they're losing not just 1 place, but usually 2 or 3 places as they lose momentum. We've lost from the race Fred Woodley, Josh Collins we know about as well earlier on. We've also lost Senderua early on in the race. As for the Masters, after a difficult first lap, Tamsin Germain has come storming through, and Tamsin now leads the Masters category. She's in 19th place overall. Behind her is Julian Renadan in 20th, and then he's the cushion between her and Martin Pearce, who is the next best Master in 2nd position within the category at 21st overall. Christoph Adams has had a difficult start as well. I think the 2nd lap was where he dropped back, so he's 3rd in the Masters still, but a few places behind Tamsin and Martin. So those are the Masters battles. Tamsin Germain going really well, as she did on Friday in qualifying, where she was comfortably the quickest Masters driver for the over 32s. Change of lead coming out then towards the end of the lap as Ben Cooper edges through, makes the move stick. Not seen too many moves down at turns 7 and 8, but that is one which is an absolutely critical one because it's between 2 rivals for the championship. You've got the 1st and 2nd place men from the 2013 championship, now 1st and 2nd in the race, with Cooper having got ahead of Babington, but Babington looks down the inside of the way into turn 3. He's going for the move, and Sean fights back. Babington back into 1st position, Cooper back down to 2nd. We've got a storming race here for you coming up, I'm sure, over the remaining laps, because Jordan Lennox Lamb is in there as well, side by side again through turn 4, all over the curves, but Ben Cooper makes the gap fit, and through he goes. The KMS Birrell driver from Canada back into the lead of the race. Babington on his tail. Jordan Lennox Lamb out wide and then cutting alongside on the exit to turn 6. He draws alongside Sean and then almost waves at him and says, "Don't worry, I'm not going to fight you. Let's go for the leader. I'm going to work with you." So the 3 of them try and pull away from the next group, which is some distance back, a couple of seconds back of 4th and 5th places, with Bachmann now back ahead of Baptista. So Baptista down to 5th place, the top 3 coming through turn 9. We've got 6 scintillating laps still to go, Matt.
Yeah, what a fight for the lead this certainly is. It's Ben Cooper who has it at the minute. Sean Babington again right on the tail through turn number 1. He gets a good run. He's going to try and pull out the slipstream down towards turn number 2. It's not quite going to work though, but Jordan Lennox Lamb has been very, very threatening as well. If there's an opportunity, he'll try and go for it as well. Up towards turn 3 they go. go. Ben Cooper holds the inside line this time. He's not going to let Sean Babington get any sniff of the race lead back for the time being. There goes Jordan Lennox-Lamb for the outside line. More bumping in towards turn number 4. Sean Babington down the inside line of Ben Cooper. He's out wide. He tries to cut the car back. Then the inside for the next corner is over the curb. He loses 1 place. He loses 2 places as Sean Babington and Jordan Lennox-Lamb go through for 1st and 2nd places. 3rd place now is Ben Cooper, but that gap that was over 2 seconds from 3rd to 4th is really now starting to be cut down because Andreas Bachmann and Enrique Baptista are starting to chase them down. So before too much longer, it could well be a 5-way scrap for the race lead. But Sean Babington now with that lead, can he hold it for the remainder of this race? I don't think so. They're still going to go all the way to the flag, I'm sure of that, because these are all fighting for some critical points in the championship. We're coming towards the end of the season after the next round at Salisbury in France. Again, the leaders go through. 5 laps on the cars now to go. Sean Babington, Jordan Lennox-Lamb, Ben Cooper, your top 3, and the gap, just to let you know, between 3rd and 4th has been cut down to 9/10 of a second, so near enough halved in the last lap, which is good stuff. More action further back. Looks like Michael Christensen has found himself very nicely up the order at the minute, so look out for that man as well. Is he quite into 6th place? No, not there yet. He's battling with Anthony Abbas, and Anthony Abbas is the man who holds on to that 6th place, but 4 karts all within that fight as well, and 5 for the lead once more down towards turn 4.
Yeah, top 3 together, slight gap back to 4th and 5th. A great battle going on for 6th position at turn 6, where that battle is now. On the previous lap, Michael Christensen got down the inside of Anthony Abbas. Anthony then fought back at the start of the lap. We've had Ferenc Kanchar as well on the start of this lap at turn 2. Got up the inside of Kevin Ludi to get back up into 8th place. So he's in that group as well, Ferenc Kanchar, the man who qualified 4th at the end of the pre-final. So a real tussle going on there. In fact, you've got 6th down to 15th place. They're all in a long line of karts. The leaders, though, meanwhile, go through turn 1 and down towards the 2nd corner. Sean Babington just edging away a bit on that lap. He's just set his personal best lap of the race. He's taken 1/10 of a second out of Jordan Lennox-Lamb. But Lennox-Lamb comes back at him on the run down under braking into turn 3, and he's almost back with the race leader now. So the 2/10 of a second advantage that Sean had at the start of the lap has been diminished to nothing now, pretty much, with Ben Cooper on their case in 3rd. You're quite right about Andreas Bachmann coming back at them in 4th place. He's pulling away now from Baptista, and then Michael Christensen has got to the head of the next group now. This huge train of DD2 karts battling over 6th position, but Christensen is there, and Anthony Abbas is about to lose a place at turn number 6 as Ferenc Kanchar comes down the inside and gets 7th place away from him. So a huge tussle going on there, heading towards turn number 7 now for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th positions all together. The race leader, though, Sean Babington, is now starting to come under threat as they exit turn number 9. The others close enough to start to pick up a toe now, and it might be a chance maybe for Lennox-Lamb on the way into turn 2 to have a look up the inside. Not quite sure he's there yet, nearly. And he's also got to keep his eyes on Ben Cooper in 3rd place as he closes up under braking.
Yep, so those 5 leaders now on towards turn number 3. Just to let you know, Kevin Ludi made up a place in that battle for 6th place as well. He now finds himself in 8th, so a good run for Kevin Ludi. Meantime, for 2nd, Ben Cooper just trying to think about making a move on Jordan Lennox-Lamb on the run down towards turn number 4. But again, Jordan Lennox-Lamb this time has the corner covered, so no chance for Ben Cooper to get through just yet. We've got 2 laps to go at the end of this one. We're halfway round lap number 11 at the minute, and as I head their way on towards the completion of another lap very, very shortly, is all action still going on for 6th place. That fight being led by Michael Christensen, Ferenc Kanchar and Kevin Ludi, all up there for the time being. Behind them we've got Anthony Abbas and Damien Wiem. So Anthony Abbas, we thought would be right up there battling with the leaders, has now found himself a lot lower down than he once was. So the top 3 again onto the line they come, still being led by Sean Babington, Jordan Lennox-Lamb 2nd, and Ben Cooper again right in that toe down towards turn number 2. Can he pull out of the toe? No, he can't. So again, he has to think about what's to come. Turn 3 probably his best opportunity to try and make a move. Can he get to the inside line? Yes, he can. Ben Cooper goes back into 2nd place. So now with 2 laps to go, Ben Cooper is on the charge to try and catch the man at the front of this field, Sean Babington. He's held it for the majority of the race so far, but 2 laps to go. Ben Cooper very hotly anticipated to get a victory after his heats and the pre-final earlier on. Jordan Lennox-Lamb sits there in 3rd. Got 4th place man, which is Andreas Bachmann. Now he's managed to drop Enrique Baptista in 5th place. So I don't think we can count out Andreas Bachmann just yet. He may have one final shot to get himself on the podium before this race is completed.
There's also an almighty tussle going on for Masters between Martin Pearce and Tamsin Germain, who are nose to tail. Martin, the previous lap, managed to get ahead of Tamsin, but they're making their way as first and second in the Masters division, absolutely together through turn 8. As on to the last lap of the race now goes Sean Babington. Ben Cooper is 0.7 seconds behind him. Sean surely has got enough in hand here to have the victory. He's just got to keep it together for one more lap, but who's going to finish second? He's completely up for grabs. Ben Cooper working really hard here. If he gets in the top 3, it's podiums in every race so far. Tamsin Germain in the background at turn 2. Looks like she got up the inside of Martin Pearce to get the Masters division lead as well. So those two having a huge scrap at the head of the field with half a lap to go. It's still Babington from Cooper. Third, you've still got Jordan Lennox-Lamb. He tries the outside line at turn 6 to try and cut back alongside going into towards the final section, but he can't get through there. Ben Cooper still hanging on to second place here. Sean Babington's going to win this one, but who is going to be with him? Every single point you can get in this championship is going to count. 55 points on their way to Sean Babington, 52 on the way to Ben Cooper, unless Jordan Lennox-Lamb can pick up a toe. He's right behind Ben Cooper. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Sean Babington wins. Who's going to be second? Ben Cooper, just by half a cart length. Jordan Lennox-Lamb completes the podium. Andreas Batman in 4th. Enrique Baptista 5th. Michael Christensen, superb drive through to 6th. What about the Masters division? Who is going to win that one as they come through? I think it's going to be Martin Pearce, who's pulled away by quite some distance on that final lap. He put a couple of carts between him and Tamsin Germain as well. So Martin Pearce has won the Masters division again to extend his points advantage. He had a super final lap there, and Tamsin Germain just dropped back a bit at the end of the race to finish 3 positions behind him. She still takes second overall in the category. Christoph Adams will be third in the Masters division, finishing 22nd overall. What a fantastic race that was from the DD2s. There are the provisional results on your screen. Sean Babington, just like he did in 2013, wins the 3rd round of the Rotax Max Euro Challenge. And bearing in mind that at the start of the weekend on Friday, he went out for qualifying and he didn't get to turn a lap in anger because his battery died, and he therefore had to start all of his heats yesterday at the back of the grid. So what a fantastic turnaround. Patient driving, careful, clever driving in the heats. He's always had the speed. He worked his way through. He didn't panic. He stayed out of trouble. He did well to get onto the 4th row of the grid for the pre-final. He had a tremendous start in that race, won it, and he's won this one as well. So if you told Sean on Friday afternoon that he was going to win the pre-final and win the final and take a maximum score of 89 points for the weekend, he'd have bitten your hand off. Fantastic result then for Sean. The second place man is Ben Cooper, and he's just having a great season again, isn't he? 2/3 and a second now. He just keeps banging in the points, and don't forget, we're going to his favourite circuit next for the final round in Salisbury, where last year he won every single race. So Ben Cooper will still have the advantage in the championship, just about, on overall points from Jordan Lennox-Lamb, but when we start to take drop scores into consideration, Sean is going to be right up there now. It's going to be an absolutely thrilling finale at Salisbury. You'll also have certainly Andreas Batman, who's going to have still a big chance of winning the championship. Real improvement from Andreas this year, given that he was 11th in the championship in 2013. He's really been strong in 2014, so whatever he achieves, it has been a big step forward for the Swede. He finishes 4th in the race. Enrique Baptista with a terrific drive through to 5th place, by far his best result of the season in the Dan Holland Racing Kart. In 6th position for RS competition, Michael Christensen fought back well after disappointment in the heats and the pre-final. French Canchar was 7th for KMS Birrell Motorsport. Kevin Ludi for Spirit Karting in a good solid 8th. Anthony Abbas not having the sort of speed that he had yesterday, not quite there today in terms of the pace, so he finishes in 9th position. Brian Eardham comes back to finish 10th after disappointment in the pre-final. Harold Kaklis 11th, Milan Dontia 12th, Philippos Kalassis 13th, Dario Santoro was 14th, Senna Noor was 15th, Damien VM 16th, and Martin Pearce wins the Masters division again for the 2nd time running in 17th place. Maxi Fleischmann was there in 18th, and there on screen you will see the rest of the results. So that fantastic DD2 final, the 3rd race of the championship, probably the best race so far of